Everyone told him it was impossible. They didn't just doubt him, they mocked him, but that didn't stop him, not even for a second. You see, some dreams aren't just wishes, they're oxygen. And for Jordan Hayes, a quiet 19-year-old from a small town in Indiana, his dream was the only thing keeping him breathing. He didn't have money, connections, or any special talent people could see. All he had was belief. Not the kind you shout about to impress people, but the kind that keeps whispering to you when the whole world is screaming the opposite. Jordan grew up in a one-bedroom apartment with his mom, who worked double shifts at a diner. He never knew his dad. From a young age, Jordan clung to old VHS tapes of motivational speeches and NBA games. He would stay up late sketching shoe designs and writing down ideas for a sports brand. At school, while others talked about TikToks or parties, Jordan talked about logos, fabrics, and branding. People didn't understand him. "You? Start a sports company?" his classmates laughed. "Bro, you don't even own more than one pair of sneakers." That moment stung. He laughed with them just to hide the hurt. But when he got home, he pulled out his sketch pad again and drew through the tears. Every line on that paper meant something. It wasn't just design. It was survival. He wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing freedom. From poverty, from judgment, from that constant ache of being unseen. He applied for dozens of internships in the sportswear world. No replies, not even one. He emailed CEOs, cold DM'd designers, called companies pretending to be someone's assistant. He was that desperate to just get in. Nothing worked. But still, every night he worked on his dream. Sketches, mock-ups, website designs. He watched tutorials on YouTube for hours. While his friends played video games, Jordan played with possibility. One day, his art teacher saw him sketching in class and asked what he was working on. Nervous, Jordan explained his dream. Instead of mocking him like others had, she paused, then said, "Show me everything you've made." She took his work seriously. For the first time, someone believed. She introduced him to a local entrepreneur who occasionally mentored creative students. Jordan showed up with a folder bursting at the seams, his hands shaking, his voice cracking, but his dream clear as ever. The entrepreneur was impressed by the heart behind the work. He gave Jordan a challenge. "Sell 10 custom shirts by next week. If you do, I'll give you access to my small business workshop." Jordan nodded, though deep down he didn't know how he'd do it. He had zero money, no equipment, not even a proper laptop. He printed his designs at the library, borrowed $20 from his mom for fabric paint, and hand-pressed each shirt in their tiny kitchen. The sleeves were crooked, the prints smudged, but the passion? Flawless. He stood outside the high school football game with a backpack full of shirts, heart pounding like a drum. Some people laughed, some ignored him, but by the end of the night, he sold out. 10 shirts, 10 people who believed in a dream most couldn't even see. That moment was lightning. It was proof. He wasn't crazy. He was early. From there, Jordan built a tiny Instagram page. He posted daily, his sketches, his struggles, his small wins. He didn't pretend to be a brand. He was the brand. Real, raw, relentless. Slowly, people began to notice. First 50 followers, then 300. Then one post went semi-viral, a video of him painting a shirt by hand, captioned, "They laughed at me, so I designed louder." It hit a nerve. Within a week, he had 10,000 followers. Orders started trickling in, but with every step forward, life pushed back. His mom got sick and had to leave her job. Bills piled up. Jordan thought about quitting. He sat at the edge of his bed one night, holding a shirt half-painted, and whispered, "Maybe they were right." But then he saw an old comment on his page. It said, "Your story made me start dreaming again." That one sentence lit something deep in his chest. He wiped his tears and kept going. Jordan began using every setback as part of the story. "Printing shirts while the lights are off because we couldn't pay the bill," one post read. He shared it all, not to get pity, but to show what belief really looks like. His followers grew loyal, not just because of the clothes, but because of the courage. They saw themselves in him, the kid with nothing but hope, who kept showing up. Then came the moment that changed everything. A major influencer reposted one of his shirts with the caption, "This is what passion looks like." Overnight, Jordan's page exploded. 100K followers, thousands of orders. He didn't even have the supplies to keep up. But people weren't buying a product. They were buying his purpose. He worked 16 hours a day, fulfilling each order by hand. He slept next to shipping boxes. He turned his kitchen into a studio and his pain into fuel. Every shirt came with a handwritten note. "If you're wearing this, it means you believe in yourself. Keep going." Those notes went viral. People started posting them on their walls, their mirrors, their hearts. Within a year, his brand, RISE Apparel, was featured in a national magazine. Not because of flashy marketing, but because people felt something when they wore it. They felt seen. They felt strong. One article read, "The kid they laughed at is building a movement." Jordan was invited to speak at high schools to share how belief can turn broken pieces into blueprints. He stood on stage, the same quiet kid who once got laughed out of the lunchroom, now standing in front of hundreds, telling them, "Don't you ever let noise drown your dream. You're not crazy. You're early." And you could hear a pin drop, because in that moment, they believed him. Years later, Jordan walked into his own flagship store in downtown Chicago. The walls were covered in stories, not ads. Letters from people whose lives had changed because they saw his journey. A man who started his business at 50. A single mom who went back to school. A teenager who chose to live another day after reading one of his captions. And right there, behind the counter, was the first shirt he ever made. Crooked, smudged, perfect. And now, when people say his name, they don't laugh. They listen. Because everyone laughed at his dream until the world watched him rise.